Hi guys, we're going to do this shoehorn here. Um, Now it's a complicated piece of geometry. There's a lot of curves going on, so we're going to be using surface geometry to achieve it. We're going to do it in two ways. One is a kind of a basic way that it's like a quick solution, and the other is a more in-depth way, um, and more accurate way to do it. Now, if you look at this here, you see that you'll have if I go to an elevation, we have that curvature there, and you can see it kind of rises up here, because of this kind of little bit of curvature here. We use what are called guide curves to influence that with a loft. So the first way doesn't achieve this kind of curvature, or like the kind of hump in the middle there. We don't get it. It's a more basic method, which I'm going to start now. So, excuse me, moving over to SolidWorks, I will go to the front plane, and I'm going to approximate spline, this kind of spline effect here, as an elevation. So this way that I'm going to do, it's not going to be accurate. I'm not going to put measurements on it. It's all going to be approximate. I want you to kind of go along with it. So from the origin, I'm going to land my first point, second point, third point, fourth point, and a fifth point, like so. Okay, so that's a rough elevation of the shoehorn. You can obviously move points about to kind of, if we don't want to have the curvature so extreme, etc. So I'm just comparing it on paper here with the curve, and I think I'm happy with that. So I'll accept that. Now what I'm going to do is a plan view, and the plan view is just going to be, I'm going to do a simple ellipse, but I'm going to make it start and end according to the first, we call it the elevation sketch, which I'll just name now, elevation sketch. So I'll go to the top plane, look normal too, and I will go with an ellipse, and I'm going from the midpoint there, so it's picking up, even though it's a curve, and a curve doesn't have a midpoint per se. From this view here, it looks like a straight line, so it has a midpoint. So I'll lock it in there like that, and once again, I'm not putting any measurements on it, but I'll leave that as my elevation there. So that would be my plan sketch. So plan sketch. What I'll do now is excuse me, I'm going to extrude the elevation sketch mid-plane. So it's a surface extrude, so make sure your surfaces toolbar is open. So right click on any of them there and make sure there's a tick beside surfaces. I'll go mid-plane, and it doesn't really matter here. All I want to happen here is for it to clear the plan, just like so. Essentially what we're trying to do here is we're going to use that, if you imagine it as a sheet of material, we're going to use that, and the sketch here, the sketch is going to be like if you think of it like a cookie cutter, that sketch is going to cut out that elliptical shape from this curvy sheet of material. So I will go to trim surface. My trim tool is going to be the sketch. Now it's already picked up something here by default, so clear that. Sketch, and I want to keep a section, that section there. Grand. Now what I could do there as well, if we look at the shoehorn has a, I can thicken that now because it's the surface, but the shoehorn has this elliptical kind of cutout there at the end. So what I could do there, and I can do it retrospectively, which is great, I can go back to the plan sketch, look normal to it, and I can add in another, it's an elliptical cutout, so I'll just approximately put it here, like so. I'm just going to make sure it's horizontal, so make sure them 2 points are horizontal, which they were. I'm not going to bother with any measurements, and I'll accept that, and you can see that it's after cutting it out, like so, which is handy. Then what I can do is I can thicken, and I'm going to do a mid-plane thicken, so it's going to thicken up and down. So this is like in the center of the plastic, and that's going to be produced afterwards. Do a 1mm thicken, like so. What I would do then there is maybe a fillet. Maybe it looks too thick. It doesn't really matter, to be honest, because I'm going to be deleting this in a minute. So I'll try to do a fully round fillet. We'll see how it gets on. In terms of the that elliptical hole there, might cause a problem. and it's doing that fine. Like so. So you can see it is curved, and I'll just try a fully round fillet on the elliptical hole as well. Yep. Okay, so that's like a good approximation. It's still a fairly complex piece of geometry, no regular shapes or patterns or whatever, but it won't resemble the original shoehorn. You can see that it has, in the middle of the body, there's a bit of curvature. You can particularly see it there, kind of like a Pringle crisp, if you think about it like that. We can't achieve that from the method that we've done. So the method that we just done is handy for more basic complex shapes, but now more complex shapes, we have to do something else. So what I'm going to do now is start another new SolidWorks file, and we're going to use a sketch picture and lofts and guide curves in this. So I'm going to start off on the front plane, look normal 2, and I'm going to draw a center line to get, we're going to use some measurements now, so the center line will kind of give us some reference here and size. So 150 is going to be the length of it. Now what I'm going to do is bring in a sketch picture. So I've already drawn something here, so it's fairly handy to put in a sketch picture. Now I have sketch picture here in my toolbar. If you can't find it, you go to Tools, Sketch Tools, and then Sketch Picture. And I'm going to my desktop there, and I have a number of, or maybe I don't, sorry, I have a folder set up for the shoehorn. There it is there. I'm looking for the elevation sketch pick. Open it. Could take a second to come in because it's a file that has a lot of memories, a few megabytes, so it could take a few minutes to come in. So that is taking its time. Okay, there it is. So it's quite big, so I'm going to enable not enable the scale tool. I'm going to resize it closer to the 150, and what I want to do is set the transparency in it. So go to full image and bump the transparency up. It's always good to have a transparent image in case we have sketches over or under. So just bring it back to about 40. Now what I want to do is have the 150 line matched up with the tip there and the tip there, but you can see that they're not horizontally in line with each other. So I'm going to rotate it to 6 degrees, and I'm going to place the tip on that end, and you can see that I need to resize it here. So tip to tip. So I'm pretty happy with that there. So that's my sketch picture, so I'll close that, drag the 150 down. Now I could go and draw a spline now, because I'm going to end up drawing the elevation of this here. I could draw a spline now, but what I don't want to do is have the sketch picture and a sketch, a spline sketch of the elevation in the one sketch, if you know what I mean. I want them as 2 separate sketches, because if I want to go back, like I'm going to use the elevation sketch for my loft or a 3D curve that we're going to create, and if the spline is in the sketch picture sketch, the sketch picture sketch is going to get used up by the 3D curve or the loft or whatever, and we won't be able to see it. It's not deleted, it's just hidden away, it gets used up. So I want this to be a standalone sketch, so I'll just end that there, and I'm going to rename that elevation sketch pick, so I know which one it is. Now what I'm going to do is the elevation sketch. So front plane, spline, and I'm going to start it there, and I'm going to run the spline up as if it's in the middle of the plastic. Okay, so I'll land a point there. I'm just going to go for a 4-point spline here, see how it works out in the middle of the plastic, roughly, approximately, and the last one there. So I need to do a bit of manipulation of the spline handles here, particularly this one here, I think. So we're looking for the spline to kind of mimic the red plastic there, so that's actually not bad at the moment. So just bear with me a second until I'm happy with it. Might move this point over here. Remember, this is all an approximation. Anytime you use a sketch picture, you're approximating, but you do need to have critical dimensions. So for example, the 150mm measurement is very, very important here. You know, I could be messing with this for ages, so I think I'll just leave it at that. And that's I'm not going to fully define it, so I'll just call that elevation sketch or elevation profile, so I don't want to get confused between the two of them. Right, now I'm going to turn that sketch pick off. It's not deleted, it's still there. Now I'm going to go to the top plane and I'm going to do the same thing again for a different sketch pick. So look, normal to. Now pretend I'm going to draw a line. You have to do this to get the sketch picture up. So once again, if you can't find it, tools, sketch tools, sketch picture, and now I'm looking for the plan, shoehorn plan pick. Once again, it's going to take a while to come in. So while I'm waiting for this to come in, what we're going to do is we're going to have the plan and the elevation as two separate curves. It's going to look like the shoehorn from the elevation and the plan, but we're going to merge the two of them together into a 3D curve that we're going to use to do a bit of lofting. Okay, so it'll be in features and it's project curve. This is taking a long time now. Just bear with me. There we are. Turn off the scale tool. Full image, go to about 40%. Resize. And of course, what am I forgetting? Put the center line down the middle. And particularly, I'll just leave the sketch pick for a second, particularly in this. No, it's actually in the next sketch that I'm going to do. A center line is important because we're going to be doing some mirroring. Now, what I'll do is I just double click the picture there. I want to approximate where the middle is. Shrink it down. And just try line it up as best I can. So I'm looking for like an imaginary center line. So that looks about okay. I'll go with that for now. I don't need to rotate this one because it's the plan. So green tick, end the sketch, and I'm going to call this plan sketch pick. Now I'm going to do the plan itself. So top plane, we're going to draw a spline and we're going to start here at the end. Probably need a point there. Point here. We can add extra if we need to. Probably go with another one here and then the other one there. It's important that this sketch is locked on at the two endpoints. Now, because we're going to mirror this later, we should always make our spline handles, in this case, perpendicular to the axis of symmetry. In this case, it's going to be vertical. And the other one down here as well, even though it'll probably shoot up. So I'm going to drop that down and try to get the curvature there. Now what I'll do is I'm going to double click on the sketch picture, so I'm in a different sketch now. I'm just resizing that there to make sure the tip is, yeah, that's fine. So now back to my sketch here. I have to edit it again because I exited that sketch to go into another one. Now I'm going to lengthen the triangle here. I might need to lengthen it a bit more, maybe move this point. Once again, we're not going to get it perfect, but sure, we'll try our best. And the point needs to be on the circumference of it, like so. We don't want to overdo it as well with too many spline points, otherwise it can be hard to control. So fewer the better. So how many have I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I wouldn't go any more than 5. That's grand, I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to mirror that. Now I need my center line down the middle, of course. So mirror entities about the axis. There we are. Now you can see it's not perfectly matching up there. Okay, I'm not too worried about this. Okay, it's maybe the photograph that was taken wasn't 100% accurate. It wasn't a perfect plan photograph. There's a bit of perspective distortion in there as well. So what I'll do, I just moved it there. So I might go back into Sketch 4 and just adjust a couple of my points. And because I mirrored it, the mirror was based on another point. You can see that it kind of pulls it in a bit there. Now we're not going to get it perfect, as I said, and I could be here all day trying to get it perfect. I'm just going to get it as close as possible. Yeah, you can see it's not going to be perfect, but sure, listen, I'll just go with that. I'm happy enough with that. Now we'll call that the plan. So plan profile. Okay, so let's take stock where we are. So I have my 2 sketch pictures in there, and I have my 2 sketches based on the sketch pictures there. So I'm going to turn off both sketch pictures, so I'm left with both, sorry, done that wrong. I just want to see something here. Okay. So that one there, that was the plan sketch pick. Yeah, that's fine. Plan profile, turn off the sketch pick. Right, now I'm back. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to project the curve. I'm going to project one curve onto another. So we'll get a 3D curve that won't be on any plane. So what I'll have is, from an elevation point of view, the 3D curve will look like that. From a plan view, the curve will look like that there. Okay, so you'll see it in a second, it'll become clear. Now I'm not happy with that profile there, so I'm going to go back to the elevation profile. I want a bit more of a kind of a hump there. That'll do. Right. Right, we'll go to features, curves, project curve, and we're going to project a sketch on a sketch. So select the 2 of these profiles here. Right. Now if you get the yellow preview, that's excellent, and you can see what's happening there, that it's projecting a 3-dimensional curve. So have a look from above, there's the yellow. Have a look from the front, there's the yellow, that's the 3D curve. So it's basically an amalgamation of the 2 curves we already have. Just so you know, the 2 curves have to be in line with each other. If you want to get them to project perfectly onto each other, they have to start and end with each other, the 2 blues, if you like there. Okay, and the blue and orange, sorry, I'll do that again. Project curve, sketch on a sketch, select one sketch, select the other sketch, yellow preview, I'm happy enough with it, green tick. Now, so that's my, sorry, I want to turn that off there. So it looks like my curves have disappeared. They haven't disappeared, they're here. And this is what I was saying at the start. This is why we should do our sketch pictures as separate sketches to our elevation. So even though it's an elevation sketch pick and an elevation profile, they're not in the same thing, because they're visible. Like, I can turn that on and off as much as I want. However, if I'd done the 2 elevation, the sketch pick and the elevation profile together in the same curve, it will be hidden away in here. So if I need to use that sketch pick again, it's kind of hidden away in there and it's awkward. So we'll just rename this 3D curve. Okay, so I'm happy enough with that. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some, in order to get, let's go back to one of the questions here, or to the previous example. In order to get these kind of curves in the middle, like as I said, you can really see it there, and up here, this kind of shape, we're going to add in some guide curves for the loft that we're going to do later. So I'm going to add in new planes. So I have the right plane there, that's grand. I'm going to make that visible. I'm going to make all my planes visible. Hold on now, right plane, make it visible, there we are. So I'm going to go features, reference geometry, a new plane, and I'm going to do this from an elevation point of view. So it's going to be based on the right plane, and it's up to me now where I want to position it. So maybe I'll use that point there. So green tick, and I'm going to do it again, reference geometry. I can do it based on the last one, so it has plane 1, which is the new plane that I just created, and I might just select that one there, and I'm going to add in a couple more. So reference geometry, so it's going to pick up the last plane that I done. Now I'm going to reverse the direction here, flip offset, and I'm just going to use a distance now. So I'm going to roughly split the distance. We'll just go with 4 planes. Now the right plane, I'm not going to do anything on it because it's the tip, and I'm not going to put a plane there because that's the other tip, so there's nothing really going on there. So I'll use that, and I can always go back and add in extra ones if I want. Now the 3 planes, I'm going to rename them guide curve plane 1, and I'm going to copy guide curve plane, Control C, go to the second one, rename guide curve plane 2, and the third one guide curve plane 3. Now I'm going to turn off these two here. Even the right plane, I'm going to turn the right plane off, I don't need that. So I'm going to do a guide curve on that plane there. So I'm going to click it, look normal to it. So I'm going to be drawing a curve, and what I'm going to do is use a 2-point spline, like so. And I have to go select my plane first, so I'll do that again. Guide curve plane 1, so I've pre-selected the plane. 2-point spline, just do it horizontal for now. It doesn't even matter really. So you can see what's happening there. I have a guide curve of the plane. Now what I wanted to do, I want to lock it on. I want to lock it onto the blue 3D curve there. So we're going to use pierce. So I select the endpoint of the spline, hold Control, select the curve, pierce. Do the same for the other side. Hold Control, pierce relation. Now look normal to the curve again. Now I want to add my curvature in. So what I'm going to do there is bring that up there, like so. So it's up to me how much curvature I want. Now we can put exact numbers on these if we want using Smart Dimension. I'm going to approximate for now. Okay, so that looks symmetrical. I could, of course, in fact, maybe I'll do that now, see if it works. I'll trim away this part here. No, okay, sorry. I suppose I'd need a center line for that, wouldn't I? So if we want to have a definite kind of symmetry here going on with the guide curve, I'll just go mirror about there. Green tick, and that will have a pierce point relation there already. I don't have to do it again. So that's definitely symmetrical. Okay, I'll rename that guide curve 1. Okay, I'll leave that there. Now I'm going to turn that plane off, and I'm going to turn guide curve 2 plane on. Same again, look normal 2, 2-point spline, purposely don't lock it on. So now select the endpoint, select the blue curve. Doesn't matter where I click the blue curve, it's only doing it where the plane passes through the blue curve. Like so. That looks quite high, but that's just the way it is. Hold Control, select pierce. Let's have a look at it where it is. Okay, so that's near the front, so I want to have a bit of a depression. Let's go the other way. I want to have a bit of a depression here at the top. I want it to kind of sink down in the middle. So it's up to you how much you want. Once again, I'll try to get perfect symmetry. I'll use a center line. I will trim that sketch there, and I will mirror the entity. Green tick, okay. And I'll hide that plane. Go to the other one now. So I'm going to have a kind of an N-shaped curve here, but not as pronounced as that one. So it's kind of like a severe N to a subtle N into a subtle U, if you want to think about it like that. So once again, I better rename that actually. Sketch 7. So guide curve. What do we call it? 2, I guess. Yeah. Even though it's the further one down, I'll just leave it. Okay, guide curve plane 3. Just do myself a 2-point spline. Same again. Control. Click the blue curve anywhere. Pierce. Same over here. Pierce. Now we're going for, as I said, for an N shape with a slight N on it. Okay, slight curvature. So once again, to ensure symmetry, center line, trim entities. And now I'm happy with that. Actually, what I might do here as well to get better symmetry, I'll make sure that this here is horizontal, and I'm going to go back and do that with the other ones as well. Make sure it's horizontal. So if there's a line of symmetry, we should always make sure it's horizontal. Okay, so I'm going to mirror that about this line here. Grand, let's just have a look at it there. Okay, it's not too bad. I can't really, and I can't move it, so. So just bear with me, I want to kind of mess around with it and see what I can kind of get here. Just go with that, so there's not going to be much curvature there. Okay, so I want to go back to a previous guide curve then, so we'll just call this guide curve 3. And all I'm going to do is make sure that the guide curve at the line of symmetry is horizontal. So let's look normal to it, just to make sure. So we go horizontal. That's grand. Is it horizontal? Yeah, it's horizontal. And guide curve 1. Same again. Click it, and we go horizontal. Hold on. There we are, horizontal. Okay, so that's our guide curves done. As I said, we can add in more, we can add in less as we go along. Now I know I mentioned I was going to use a loft earlier, but I'm actually not going to use a loft, because a loft is when we have one profile transitioning to another, but I'm just going to be using the 3D curve here, so we're actually going to use a fill surface. So what I'll do here is I'll turn off the elevation and plan profiles. Okay, and we're going to use a fill surface. So surfaces, fill surface, select the profile. So this is more when you have kind of like one profile, and in this case here it's a fully enclosed profile, so it's handy for kind of filling in the middle, really. Now I'm going to select my guide curves. There's the first one there, so if I just deselect that, you can see what happens there. So it's not actually passing through the guide curve. Now it is. Second guide curve and the last guide curve. Okay, and you can see what it's doing there. It's achieving that kind of really curved shape underneath and on top. Now let me see, is there anything else I could do there? So there's not much. Optimize surface, let me just have a look at that. It doesn't make much of a difference. Fix up a boundary, we'll go with that for now anyway. So we'll just, yeah, so I'm happy with that, so we'll just green tick. So now we have a kind of a surface there. I can always go back now and mess around with them guide curves. So for example, if I go to, see my guide curve planes are there now, I want the guide curves there tucked away in the surface fill. So we'll just call it, I don't really know what to call it other than surface fill body, maybe. That's fine. Now we can go into the guide curves, and if I select the guide curve, does it let me do it from here, or do I have to go into it? So I'm going to make it visible. So if I want to influence the curvature even more, I can really kind of go to town on it there. In fact, I prefer the way I had it there. And the fill will update with it. Okay, so I'm not going to do too much with that there. I'll just leave that as it is because it looks decent. Now what I'll do is thicken it, because it's the surface, we can add thickness to it. So we'll do a mid-plane thickness of 1.5 millimeters. And I'll select the surface, so it's thickening out both ways. 1.5. Okay, so it's quite thick there. The 3D curve is still visible. I'm finished with it, so I can hide it. Like so. Just bear with me a second. Now, just looking at the edges there, it looks a bit warped. It doesn't look great like my other model, but what we'll get rid of that is if we apply a fully round fillet to the edges. So fully round fillet, select the first one, right click, select the second surface, right click, select the third surface, and it gives it a preview there. Green tick. Okay, so it doesn't look too bad. And of course, them lines that you can see there, we can turn them off by going to View, Display, and tangent edges removed. Okay, so it looks more natural. So it looks quite good there now. what we'll do here is a little elliptical cutout. That's at this end here. I don't have any measurements for it. Okay, so I'll go to the top plane. And we're going to do it in there. So we're going to sketch an ellipse. If I want to do a center line to help out, just go from the origin. Ellipse, put the center point about there. Actually, do you know what I'll do? I know why there's no measurements, because we're going to use the plan sketch pick. Okay, so we're going to use that there and we're going to trace over it. So what I might do there is I might just let the thicken, I might just hide that, and plan sketch pick, make it visible. And we're going to look down from above, we're going to select the top plane, and we're going to sketch an ellipse. And we're going to roughly place the center there. That's the width, and that'll do. I know it's not perfect, but it'll do. Obviously we'd try and fully define that if we later on, or yeah, at the end we can do that. I'll leave that up to you. So we'll just call this ellipse sketch. I'm going to delete 9 actually. Well, 9 actually had the center line in the middle, so I should probably replace the center line there. So I'm doing kind of this unconventionally. Okay, so I need to just make sure that these points are kind of coincident with that center line, because I was using the center line from the previous sketch, which I'm about to delete. So sketch 9 should delete without any problems. Actually, undo. I've probably done that in the wrong order there. See, it's going to delete. If I delete sketch 9, it's going to delete. Actually, I can. So let me see here. I'm just going to delete these for the points that were coincident, and also the center line, that's coincident as well. So it's coincident with the previous sketch. So apologies, I'm doing this really unorthodox, but I'll delete that there. Sketch 9. And the ellipse sketch goes as well. Let's see, I'll try that again. What options have I when I go to delete it? Delete child features. Child means it's dependent on it. So okay, so it's thrown up an error here. That's fine. So I can go in and identify the error. So anything that's in yellow, there's the problem there. So if I just take that away, so it's coincident with something from a sketch that's been deleted. So it's saying, what's the story here, like of a problem. So that's gone. Right. Sorry, that was very long-winded, but it's done now. I'm going to bring the thicken back in, and we're going to do an extruded cut mid-plane. So extruded cut of that profile. I'm just wondering, is there any better settings that we could use there? Maybe we don't have to do that. Maybe we could just say up to surface. So we'll use that surface there, but we want to cut downwards as well. So I'm going to go bi-directional here, and I'm going to go up to surface and select that surface there. So hopefully that cuts it out. It doesn't seem to be doing it too well now, but face 1, up to surface, up to surface. Let's see if it does it. No, of course not. So I'm going to get rid of that there altogether. So that's going up to that surface. Why won't it go to the... Maybe it's all one, it recognizes it all as one surface. Okay, so it recognized that all is one surface. Even though it's not a surface, it's a face. Anyway, I'll do my fully round fillet to finish this off. Right click. I'll just click in the box. Third box. Like so. Get rid of the plan sketch pick. Yeah. And that looks good. I'm going to apply a red high gloss plastic to it. And I'm going to apply it to the whole part. Grand. And now finally I have a decal to put on it. So I'll go to my decal here. This is the way I normally do my decals. Click the second option there. Add decal. Browse for it. I have it on my desktop, I think. Shoehorn. Shoehorn logo. So I'm going to go to a plan view here, click the surface that I want it on, use decal alpha image channel, and we'll apply it just in the center there, make it a little bit bigger. Don't have to do too much with this, which is handy. Go to current view, projection face. I think everything is fine there. Green tick, and that's it done really. So SolidWorks add-ins, PhotoView 360, and render tools should pop open here now in a second. It's taking its time. Yeah, render tools, and I want to just make sure. Now I have a problem here with mine. If I go to scenes here, for some reason it takes the floor out of it. So if I go to edit scene, floor reflection, turn it off and on, floor shadows, turn it off and on. Okay, green tick. So I'll get the angle that I like, and I'll go to options, make sure I'm not going to go for the best one. I'll just go, or I won't go for the maximum, I'll go for best. Green tick, preview window, turn perspective on. It's going to take a while for this to boot, so I'm just going to pause the video. So my PhotoView 360 took a while there to open, but it's open now. Just minimize it there. So that looks great. The high gloss plastic, it's picking up the shininess, and you can see the shadows underneath it there. And obviously there's more stuff we can do there. So we can obviously change the angle of it there, and the PhotoView 360 updates live. That's not great there because it's catching too much of the shine. But I mean, you can mess around with it yourself. So we'll just leave it at that, and that's the whole thing done. Thanks.